Good morning and welcome to Sex, Love, and Soul. I'm Mary Knight. I am driving. It is a cold for Texas. For me, Saturday morning, I'm on my way to the gym. And when I drive, I come up with a lot of stuff that I want to talk to y'all about. And that's why I decided to just start recording it and talking as I'm driving. So in the coaching sessions that I have been having with y'all, I get an opportunity to really get to know you and to know on a deep level the things that are concerning to you. And it's interesting to me because y'all aren't calling me and saying, oh, I lack boundaries. I lack consistency. And that's why I'm having these issues in my marriage or in dating. But that's what's going on, is from the things y'all are telling me, the things that you're bringing up, the challenges, the concerns, the issues that you're having. When I look at it through my life coach lens, I see that what y'all are talking about is having a lack of boundaries, having an unwillingness to say no. And I don't think that it's necessarily, I think unwillingness might be inaccurate, but it's that you don't know that you can say no. You don't know that that's part of being in a relationship is give and take. Well, actually, you do think of relationships as give and take because you're doing all the giving and she's doing all the taking. And I know that from my own personal experience, the reason that I was in relationships where they were very one-sided, where I was the one doing all the giving, and I've also been in relationships where I was doing all the taking, was because I didn't know what my values were. I hadn't taken the time to sit down and think about, what are my values? What are values? What is important to me? What is the standard by which I want to live my life, by which I want to conduct myself in relationships, in business, when I'm alone with myself, when no one else is there to hold me accountable or for me to feel embarrassed if I do or don't do something? Like, what are my values? And what I find with y'all, talking to you nice guys, is that you have not sat down and created a set of values. You haven't defined your value. Most of us don't sit down to think about, well, what is important to me? And when you get into a relationship with someone who also doesn't have a strong set of values, but yet they have a very strong set of opinions, they also will have a strong set of wants, needs. You're left not just compromising, but feeling compromised. Because in relationships of all kinds, in marriages, dating, all kinds of, whatever relationships you're in, we're taught that compromise is part of it, that's part of being an adult, is that you negotiate. You make terms with another person. You try to achieve a win-win, right? That's the thing that we're taught. And what I would like to add to that is that when you are in relationships with people who you're compatible with, there's going to be some compromising on some minor things, some everyday things. But there shouldn't be compromises on the major things. I don't think that if y'all are truly compatible, you're not going to agree on everything. But when it comes to major stuff, there shouldn't be a huge disconnect where you're always the one capitulating. You're always the one giving in. And because that it doesn't feel good. And it's also not realistic. It's not a good sign if you're always compromising, if you're always the one giving in. And it's also not a good sign if your wife is always the one giving in. There's a general lack of shared values in that case. Understanding your values, knowing what's important to you, knowing what you value truly, not what somebody else told you you should value, but what you actually value as an adult. Those are the kinds of things, those feelings, those concepts, those ideas. That is what determines your boundaries. And as I've talked about in another video, boundaries are not for the other person. Boundaries are for you. Boundaries are not you telling the other person, well, I don't want to do this, this, and that. And you better not do that if you want to hang out with me. That's not what boundaries are. Boundaries are your guideline, your guidepost based on your values. An example of a boundary is that you don't mind dating a woman who is a social drinker because you like to go out and see some bands and have a couple of beers every now and then, but you're not interested in being involved in a relationship with somebody who needs to have a glass of wine every single night after they come home from work, right? Meaning you don't want to be involved with somebody that uses alcohol to cope with life. That's a perfectly reasonable boundary for you to have. And that wouldn't be something that you would say on when you're dating. I don't date women who drink every day, right? That would be something that you would just observe, right? You would see, you would notice how she handles stress, how she copes with life. But it wouldn't be that you would say to a woman on a first or second or third date, you wouldn't say to her, oh yeah, I don't date women who drink every day. You would just notice her behavior, because often when people, if you said something to somebody who did that every day, they're not aware that they're doing that every day. It's just part of their life, right? They're not aware that they're drinking every day. So if you say something like that, she might say, oh yeah, well, of course, that's not me. Because people don't know themselves as well as they think they do. We have a lot of unexamined thoughts circulating through our consciousness. All of us do. And unless you actively set out to really get to know yourself and to know what's swirling around in that head of yours, you're going to participate in a lot of unconscious behaviors. Well, back to boundaries and values. So values and boundaries, of course, are linked. That makes sense, right? If a value is a guidepost, a compass to how you live your life, your values are not situational. Your values don't change. It's not that some days you have your values in place and you observe them a little bit. It's not how it works, values. You're an adult, you make decisions. And you use those as a compass to guide you through your life, to guide you through situations. And so your values determine the types of people that you will spend time with. If one of your values is respect, then you're not going to hang out with a woman who constantly shows up late, who talks down to you. That is not going to be the woman for you. No matter how beautiful she is, no matter how hot she is not the woman for you. If respect is one of your values. And another way to look at values is you're the same person no matter who you're around. Whether you're talking to your mom, brother, or you're on a second date, third date with a woman. Whether it's your wife. People are like, oh, when I'm talking to my boys, I might throw around some F-bombs and, maybe have a couple of shots of whiskey, and I wouldn't do that around my mom. I wouldn't do that on the first date. But the thing about that is you're not changing your values. You are still a person who drops F-bombs and thinks that's okay. I do. You're still are the kind of person that thinks it's all right to go out and have a couple of shots of whiskey, right? You're still that same person, whether you're with your mom or with your boys or on a first date. It's just that you have a different level of intimacy with your mom, with the woman that you're dating or married to, and with your friends. But your values are still the same. Like, you're not hiding and lying what you do. Because if you are, then you need to take a look at what you're doing. Because if you feel ashamed, then around certain people, when you do certain things, then you might want to take a look at that. Either stop doing that or stop feeling ashamed. Own it. So when you're feeling compromised, you don't feel good about your relationship that you're in, whether you don't feel good. You don't feel good about that woman. You resent her. You may do small and not so small things to get back at her. So you have to watch out for that kind of stuff. That's why it's so important for you to know who you are and to have your own back, to not give in on your values. A woman who wants you to compromise your values, who gets huffy with you when you enforce boundaries, she is not the woman for you. She's not. Why would you want to be with somebody that doesn't respect you? Knock it off. You can do better. All right. I have brand new. I just started a newsletter. I would love for you to sign up for it. Each month I have a theme that I'm covering, and this month's theme in the newsletter is boundaries, values, red flags, green flags, black flags, in dating and in established relationships. And in the newsletter, I go over things that I don't talk about on the channel because some stuff I just don't want to say, blast all over the YouTubes. And some of the newsletters, there will be an audio clip, about 2 to 3, maybe 4 minutes long, where I'm expounding on some of these things that I talk about on YouTube. But again, this is different. This is kind of a different take on it. I go a little bit deeper in some of these audios. I give real world examples of what it looks like when your boundaries are being violated, because I know a lot of times y'all don't know. You just think that's just how women are, or that's just how relationships are. That's just how life is. And I'm telling you that it's not, right? That's not how life is. It doesn't have to be that way. And I'm giving you very detailed examples of what that looks like, what to say, what to look for in her reactions, and whether or not you're being used, you're being taken advantage of. Because again, sometimes y'all don't know because you've never had a really good relationship with a really great gal. The audio clips in my newsletter, again, they're not going to be anyplace else. Sometimes they're a little bit more raw than what I'm willing to get on YouTube. So I do recommend that you sign up for my newsletter. There's a link in my show notes that takes you to a PDF download of red flags for nice guys. And it's 10 common red flags that you have probably never thought of as red flags. And when you sign up and to get that PDF, it automatically signs you up for my newsletter. If you decide you don't like the newsletter, I put unsubscribe buttons where you can see it. You can unsubscribe at any time. Also, I have my book for sale, How to Turn Nice into Your Sexy Superpower. That's still selling really well. I'm getting a lot of great feedback on that. Thank you so much. It's $8. And let's see, there's a link to that in the show notes, and that's on my website, sexloveandsoul.com. Also, if you wanted to get coached by me, there's a link to my schedule and pricing and all that kind of stuff in there at sexloveandsoul.com, a link in my show notes. And I have a new book coming out all about confidence, and it's full of exercises. It's mostly exercises with actual things to say, how to flirt, how to be more confident, how to exhibit charisma, your body language, verbal confidence, nonverbal cues, because women are more apt to pick up on all the nonverbal stuff, signals you're sending out you're not even aware of. So that's what that book is all about. I'm really proud of that. I'm not quite done with it, but it'll be done soon. And I'll let y'all know, but there'll be a link to my show notes. See, if you sign up for my newsletter, then I can let you know when it's available. Oh yeah, if you have not subscribed to my channel, why not? It's easy. It's free. It's fun. And you just might learn something. Okay, I appreciate your time, your attention, your emails. Oh my gosh, please keep emailing me, Mary@sexloveandsoul.com. Yeah, okay, bye for now.